Every single day across the UK, mountain rescue teams are scrambling up peaks like this one to save lives. And in recent years, the number of call-outs has been rising rapidly. In fact, in the time I spent preparing for this video with the local mountain rescue team here at Snowdon in North Wales, somebody tragically lost their life up this very mountain. So in this video, we're going to be hiking up Snowdon with one of the volunteers from the local Llanberis Mountain Rescue team. And we're not just here for the views, but to understand why call-outs are on the rise, what's going to happen if the trend continues, and most importantly, what you can do to avoid becoming one of the statistics. So come along with me and let's find out. So we're going to drive partway up and then walk one of the tracks, right? There's a number of tracks up Snowdon, is that right?
Yeah, there's 6 official paths. We're going to drive up part way up to the crusher, it's called, rock crusher on the miners path, and then we'll walk up and see how far we get. Nice. Up there, and we join up with what's called the Pyg Track, PYG, and then we'll see how far we get to the top. We've got to be a little bit careful today because the weather there's a bit of a storm coming through at about midday. So, I mean, me personally, I use Met Office, and we get, as a mountain rescue team, we get an updated, like a more detailed version from Met Office as well.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it's going to be quite breezy and quite damp, so we'll see how far we get.
We'll see how it goes.
Cool.
Yeah. Awesome. So you must have been up hundreds of times? That many? Oh.
Yeah, I was trying to work this out the other day because someone asked me a few times now, and it's probably in the excess of about 300.
300? Yeah.
Something like that. Depends how you. So I've done 3 or 4 times a day, but that's been running, working, flying, and driving.
Yeah.
So if you count them all together, probably even more.
It's impressive.
How's your Welsh? You can speak to them in Welsh if you want.
To say it's not great would be an overstatement. How's yours?
Learning.
Yeah.
Well, I'm South African, so I've got an excuse.
That's true.
So the official paths is 6.
6.
Yeah. So we're going up the miners at the minute, and the Pyg Track is also a really nice path. It's just a little bit up here, a little bit more technical. And then you've got the Llanberis Path, which is about 7 k's, quite benign with 2 steep bits, which is the one that's giving us probably the most rescues now. I mean, we have over 150 odd jobs a year on just that path alone. Wow. And most of them are I would say, avoidable call-outs, so we don't do anything technical or anything medical. It's just people haven't eaten and drunk properly, so they just run out of juice. We go back like three or 4 years. The call-outs were generally, before that, for the 10 years before that, was generally about 200-ish a year, and fairly standard at that. And then that's just ramped up. Last year was a record year of 327, but it sort of jumped from 200 to 300 and then 327 over a couple of years. And then this year was forecast to be about 400. So it's virtually a double over like 3 years, which has proved to be the challenge.
Yeah, that's a massive jump.
It wasn't a record August, but we're still like just shy of 50.
50 call-outs in August, Sunday. So you're getting multiple call-outs in a single day sometimes?
Oh yeah, regularly, yeah. The most I've been on is probably about 6 in a day. But I mean, to give you an example, on Saturday, a couple of weeks ago, we had a faller that fell off Crib Goch and died. We had someone that fainted on the summit. Then you get sort of a knee injury. Then you get a paraglider stuck in a tree, and then just multiple little things around that. So all in one day. So there's massive jobs. And then the chap that fell off Crib Goch was a full body recovery. So quite in technical terrain. Yeah, it gets quite awkward to drive along here when it's busy. And
what's it like driving along here, like in winter?
Entertaining.
I was going to say, oh my God, I'd be scared.
There's been a few times where we've had to dig the vehicles out of snow and stuff, but not often. So we're going to park here. We used to have about 4 to 6 fatalities a year, and this year we've already gone over that. So I mean, just the last couple of months we've had 3, and it's falling off the ridge, a paragliding accident, and we had 2 in the Watkin pools. So on the Watkin Path there's some waterfalls, and we had 2 ladies drown there.
Oh, right.
So we're trying really hard to push water awareness. We're trying really hard to get people to understand this is freezing water.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
You know, if you understand what you're doing, it's different. Same like going to the mountains. If you know what you're doing, or you got some head around you, then you know there's something you need to learn.
Yeah. So if you do want to, you know, you're tempted for a wild swim, what sort of precautions do you need to look out for?
So there's, here in particular, they ask you not to because it's quite geologically important, and there's loads of little, like quite a sensitive area. But get used to the water temperature because that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And also it's just understanding what happens in water. So if you've got little bits of waterfalls and things, it affects the way you get caught in the water. So just do a little bit of research about sort of how water behaves.
Yeah.
Try and go somewhere benign first to get used to the water change, like temperature change. Things like that, really.
Yeah. And for anyone watching who is not very familiar with Snowdon, how would you summarize it to newcomers? Is it difficult? I mean, it's a mountain, but in terms of scale, distances, what kind of things would you need to know before you came here?
I suppose with Snowdon so now it's changed to its Welsh name. Well, it's not changed. The national park is calling it that, so it's Yr Wyddfa. So even for me, it's a bit of a tongue twister.
Yeah.
But you've got really simple paths, but it takes you into really consequential terrain. And weather like this, so if you can't see where you're going, is a real challenge for people.
Yeah.
Mountains can get quite dangerous, so it's not always kind of straightforward walk. You know, it does get cold, it does get wet. If you don't eat for 7 hours walking uphill, you will get tired and you won't be able to carry on. So it's a little bit about like prepare, take some food, take some water. I mean, you can feel the temperature today.
Yeah.
It's pretty cold.
Yeah, it's chilly today.
And this changed since yesterday. So you probably could have been here in shorts yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's,
and I guess it's the change from the base to the summit as well. It can be quite extreme.
Yeah, you're talking sometimes about 10 degrees difference. So in winter, it's a real challenge because we get snow on the top and you can be down the bottom in basically shorts.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know it's winter, so you might have long trousers, but it catches people out massively in winter time. So I think from a preparation point of view, research your paths, go on the National Park website. There's little apps you can get. There's all that kind of stuff. So historically, people have been told to get a map and a compass, learn how to use it. But realistically, I think, if I'm honest, not many people know how to actually truly use a map. Mobile phone apps have come quite a way now.
Yeah.
So don't use Google for this. Google's got its place in cities, and it's amazing in there, but in the mountains, it's useless. So find something like OS Maps or View Ranger or something that's a bit more targeted to outdoors, and bring a battery bank. So if your battery runs out, if that's your only bit of navigation, then you're kind of messed, really. So I've suggested to people in the past, go out, go up a little hill, put your phone away, so your batteries run out, see what happens.
Yeah.
See what you can do.
Bit of practice. Would you bring clothes to change into when you're expecting an extreme weather change at the top, or just like more layers?
So for me personally, I'll wear what I'm wearing for the day's weather. So so today is obviously a bit colder, so I'll have long trousers on. I've got 2 jackets on now, and then I'll always have a spare. So I'll have a spare even in midwinter, midsummer, doesn't matter. I'll have a thicker, sort of more like puffier jacket. Yeah. So if I ever need to stop for a later time, your temperature, especially if I've injured myself or I've done a big day, you drop temperature really quick. So take a big jacket, spare, full waterproof, top and bottom. Then depends on the season. So if it's really cold, I'll have, like today I've got 3 pairs of gloves, big one, thicker one, and then a sort of more leathery one for rope work, and then a couple beanies.
So in comparison, I am wildly underprepared in a sense.
I have brought a spare jacket for you.
I only have what I'm wearing.
So I've brought 2 spares. So one for me, one for you.
Oh, thank you.
Because I figured that I wasn't sure what to bring. So you've got one. But you know, having been caught out in the past, you learn.
Yeah, it's true.
So, and then a head torch and battery banks and all the rest of it as well.
So if we'd gone on foot right from the beginning,
Yep.
what kind of distance would we be covering to the summit, just that one way?
Oh, Llanberis is about 7. Pyg is about 4-ish, and we're a little bit more here.
Okay.
So about 5-ish.
About 5 miles.
K's.
5 kilometres, okay.
It's about 6 K's.
6
somewhere there.
yeah. Got you.
So what's that? Just 4-ish miles, give or take. But it's the fact that this one is benign, rocky.
Yeah.
Then we get up to a lake, which Glassland is just over there.
Somewhere up here.
Just over that ridge. And then it goes steep.
Okay.
Way up. And then the navigation on that is tricky.
Yeah.
So people go up quite easily, struggle to come down a lot of the time. So this is where it catches people out, especially on Crib Goch up there. So the way up is awkward. There's a very selected way to get up without going off to crazy terrain.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you want to come down, it looks a lot scarier when you're looking downhill.
The Crib Goch is this like a knife edge scramble.
So the way I explain it to people, it's you've got a steep side going sort of that way, and then you've got a still steep but a gradual side. If it was 1 foot off the floor, you would walk across it as nothing.
Okay.
But the fact it's a couple hundred meters in the air with really massively consequential terrain either side, we've had a lot of people basically fall off and die one side, or fall off and get quite badly broken on the other. That happens a lot, but it is an amazing piece of rock.
So you said like sometimes you get multiples in a day. You had 6 in one day at one point.
Yep.
That has to be close to the limit of what the team's capable of.
So yeah, I mean those days definitely are hard.
Yeah.
When you get to base at 8 in the morning.
Yeah.
And you don't leave till 12 midnight.
Because you're all volunteers.
Yeah, no, 100% volunteers.
You've got regular lives that you're living, and this is just a voluntary position that everyone has.
Yeah. Well, if you think about if we were as busy as we probably would have been maybe 10 years ago, you're talking roughly 100 to 200 jobs. So that's like maybe 2 a day, then none for like a week. So actually, in and around life can be quite normal.
Yeah.
Quite easy to manage. But if you're talking summertime, August, at least 1 a day. So you know that every day at 4-ish, 5-ish, you will get a call out.
Yeah.
Because when it gets later in the day, generally you're busier. Saturdays are by far the busier day. So you kind of, in a sense, you almost plan your life around going up the hill, which is, I mean, for a volunteering organisation, it is hard.
Yeah.
The thing that gets me going to get out on the hill is if you look at what capability the emergency services have in this country, there's a huge gap that we fill. That actually the typical emergency services are very good at what they do, but they just don't have the capabilities a lot of the time, or they wouldn't come out here to do these jobs, the fire service and so on. So we do fill a niche, which is interesting. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but that's another discussion altogether.
From the side of a volunteer,
Yeah.
how is that process for you when there's a call out? Does it get distributed to whoever is able to attend, or?
So if you're having a bad day on the hill here and you want to get help, you'd typically call the police. Then the police will call Mountain Rescue and let us know that there's a job in our patch. And then that text will come to the team. And basically that text will tell us, for example, someone stuck on Snowdon, broken ankle. Because that's the call handler will sort of put that into a small text. And that for us will come to the team. Some teams it will go to just the sort of team leadery people. And then because we're volunteers, you're not obligated to do anything. And if you're busy or you're not, you can attend or not. And we'll just reply with different sort of messages, yes or no. Or you're sort of limited, so can't come now, but I can come in a little bit. And then you go to base if the coordinators have decided that we need to go out.
So that's where we started today.
Yeah. So if the coordinators feel like it warrants us to go out, we'll go and we'll assemble there. And by that stage, the coordinators normally have a bit of a plan, who's going where and what kit, and then we'll head out.
Yeah.
And then every job is different after that.
Yeah, I bet.
So
never the same.
What becomes unique for us is that because we've got so many jobs, those coordinators do a phenomenal role in managing multiple incidents with multiple people. So you end up having 2 or 3 people in there, sort of coordinating that. And that's between 2 or 3 teams of us. RAF come out, their mountain rescue team.
Yeah.
Neighbouring teams will come out. We have aircrafts from Coast Guard. We have air ambulance sometimes. So we end up having this huge sort of response, which these coordinators manage.
Yeah.
this is probably one of my favourite areas. So we've got scrambles that go up there.
So you could
scramble
go
up
to the
that
top
ridge
of that.
line, and then you've got Snowdon is literally there.
So there's a
Yeah, so we'll go up, see where that rock buttress is there. Just to the left of that, that's the miners goes up to the Pyg Track.
Okay.
Which is, you can probably see people just there, just below the cloud line.
So we're going to kind of zigzag like that.
Yeah, it's sort of around here, but then go up that way.
Okay.
So bad weather-wise, this is my suggested route to people to get out and do the Miners Path up to here.
Okay.
And then you've most likely would have had enough by now if the weather's really bad.
Yeah.
So you're not committing to anywhere that's technical, because we are quite nice underfoot. And then before you start climbing to the steep stuff, you can have a logic discussion then about actually, are we enjoying this or not?
Yeah.
So that's part of the thing, is people get sort of focused on the top.
Yeah, that's true.
So-
You just hyper-focus on that one destination.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's been there. You get slightly carried away to get to the top because that's where you're aiming for. And then you make the sound judgments when you're there and go, actually, this is really rubbish now.
Yeah.
So I'm getting to this point now, and we know what the weather forecast we looked earlier, sort of 12-ish, it was coming in. Reception's a bit poor up here now, so this is the other problem, is that you need to do all this checking before you get here.
Yeah.
Because there's no real reception, even at where the bus drops you off.
Yeah.
There's no reception there, so kind of got to do a little bit of homework. But yeah, you're making those assessments like, actually, we are now sort of 9 o'clock, so we've got about 3 hours potentially before it comes in.
Yeah.
Quite a lot. The winds are picking up massively, but we are sheltered in here.
Okay.
So we'll start to look up higher, so see how fast the clouds are moving. They're not moving too badly at the minute, but it is coming sort of from behind us, the wind.
Yeah.
So we might be sheltered in this sort of cone
Yeah.
here. But as soon as we get higher, you might get whacked with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you be looking for? Things that might line up to let you decide, okay, actually, let's go back and try another day, for example.
So I use a fair bit of sort of like sixth sense judgment as well. So like if you're feeling uneasy and something doesn't feel right, that's normally, even if the forecast, so I look at the forecast, I've done all my prep anyway, so I've got all my bag stuff, I've always got stuff for the harder day than we're hopefully having. And then once I've checked the forecast and know what's going on, is the forecast actually staying as they think it is?
Yeah.
So that's what we've had recently now, is we've had massive downpours on potentially a sunny forecast.
Yeah.
So people have gone out with no clothing or no waterproofs, and then end up being massively caught out. But then it's just like keeping an eye on the day. So like now we still, is everyone feeling normal, feeling fine? Because you might just be having an off day,
Yeah.
which also happens. And then you might just not be feeling it. So we just tell people like, break the day into chunks. So like this would be one of my checkpoints, so to speak. So we get here, before we go up anywhere committing, so everyone's still food, eating and drinking, that kind of stuff. One thing we are seeing a lot now is people splitting up because their friend is taking too long.
Oh.
So they'll just leave them behind.
Oh.
And the problem is they're normally the ones that are going to be having the worst day.
Yeah.
And then you leave them behind. So we'll say if you start as a group, try and stay as a group.
Yeah, stay together.
It's also means you have your friends will be nice.
Yeah.
And they'll like you. So we had someone on Crib Goch the other day. He was taking too long, so his friends left him. And then we had to go out and help him along. He wasn't actually captured, like he wasn't stuck too bad. He just had a bit of a hard time.
Yeah.
And you think, well, his friends, they knew what they were getting in for. He didn't.
Yeah.
And then they left him because he was taking too long.
And you could easily panic in a situation like that.
Yeah,
and
that's
you're
all he
somewhere
did.
new as well. And
So we just went out to help him along, and he was absolutely fine once a bit of encouragement. But that sort of thing was massively easily avoided.
yeah,
By
don't
just-
leave your friends behind.
Don't do this.
Don't do this.
No, don't do this. This
What,
is-
are people just
so
putting
they,
stones every time they come here or something?
So traditionally, cairns are a little pile of stones to navigate you. So like at this point, you come down here, or you know where to turn. But if you think all these stones have been picked off around here, this is really a sensitive area. I know it looks quite a...
Yeah, but these are
it's
ruins,
been-
aren't they?
Yeah. So, but what it does is it pushes the paths bigger and bigger. So this one's not too bad now. You've got stones, but there's some up on the ridge where they've become so big that people start diverting and diverting. So I know it's a thing, this piling stones thing, but yeah, please don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't help whatsoever.
No.
It sort of defeats the object of what it's supposed to do. My first winter trip, I hope this doesn't get online, but basically I went up with no crampons and no ice axe on Ben Nevis. It was years and years and years ago. But again, I didn't really know what I was in for.
Yeah.
I got to a certain point and I was like, this is actually a bit sketchy.
Yeah.
And then you learn. And it's essentially why I do this, having a few close calls between in the UK and over in the Alps and so on.
Yeah.
luckily not needing rescue, but it's been close many times as a youth. And you supposedly become sensible at some point.
Yeah.
And then you realise if you really needed help, this is the level of sort of commitment of people. So
Yeah, that's right.
So you kind of help out on that side.
Yeah. I think it's that feeling as well of it'll probably be fine, we'll just push through, and then it's not until you either witness it happening or it happens to you that you think actually the consequences here could be really bad, if not fatal in some circumstances.
Yeah. But there's the judgment of when to push and when not to push. That's the hard bit. You know, because some days you think, actually, weather's good, I'm feeling good, I've eaten and drunk properly, all my planning's done, the weather's played ball, you know, you're just having a really good day.
Yeah.
And some of those days, you will be happy to maybe push a little bit more. But then some days you won't. And that's the sort of judgment.
Yeah.
When you're in a group like this, not part of your group, say, people tend to walk at their pace. So if you're getting out of breath or getting sort of feel like you're working a bit hard, don't feel obliged to keep up with people in front of you. Just work at your pace.
Yeah, just take a rest if you need one, and
stop, eat, enjoy the day.
Yeah.
And don't expect them to know where they're going either.
Yeah, that's true.
That's quite a common thing. They just assume the person in front knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time they're hoping someone else will overtake. But as far as an intro to walking goes, this is like really impressive terrain.
Yeah.
Quite have a good taste of what it's like. So you've got a reasonable path with a steep bit.
Yeah.
And the steep bit will give you an inkling of how you're feeling.
Yeah, this is a good little measure of your gut feel.
Yeah. There's a lot of gut feeling in the hills. I've turned away from peaks in the Alps just by not feeling right. So even on the Matterhorn, spent weeks planning and getting out there and so on. Get a certain way up and go, this feels wrong, turn back.
What would you say about footwear on a route like this?
There's a traditional thing about wearing boots, right?
Yeah.
So you wear boots because it protects your ankles. All you end up doing sometimes is breaking your ankle on top of your boot.
Oh.
So unless you're used to wearing and being in this terrain, everything has a risk. So if you're used to wearing shorter shoes, like these are approach shoes.
Yeah.
So my ankles are used to it. I run a lot here. So then they will be appropriate. Flip-flops and Crocs, probably not.
No.
If you've got nothing to go with, maybe pick a path that's less committing. So like the start of this path, you know, you'll see what they like.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't just go with the first pair of shoes you could find, run up Crib Goch and see how they are. I think that crosses the board really in advice is, you know, get the stuff you can, get a jacket, the best jacket you can. It doesn't have to be top of the range.
Yeah.
You get some, and also you're not going to use your stuff all day, every day. So if you have a newish jacket that's simple, it would probably last okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll get one downpour and you realise if it's good or bad. But, nice.
How much food should you bring for a...
Depends how hungry you are. So some people
eat... embarrass myself again here and say I've not brought enough food.
No. Typically people generally, if you just snack, it's easier. So having like a big meal is just big food in your stomach.
Yeah.
So if you can just keep drip feeding food down and stuff you can eat. So like people seem to live on like jellies and things, you know, little sweets and things. But if you can have like crisps and, I mean, I get kids up the hill with Haribo normally.
Yeah.
Because they work on that. But yeah, if you have some crisps or like peanuts or nuts or like raisins, like actual food, and then even just a cheese sandwich would be good. So sometimes I'll take cheese and hummus wraps with a bag of olives.
Okay.
So you get like a bag from the shops that you can just rip over the top and have it in a wanna. Because it's salty. I mean, not everyone likes olives, but it's salty.
Yeah.
So you want a bit of salt, especially on a hot day. Sweat a little bit. So it depends what you can eat and what type of day you're doing.
Yeah.
So like, if this is your first hill, take like what you would normally take for lunch in like a bag, plus just a little bit extra, because you might not feel like eating what you got. So that's also have a bit of options.
Yeah, true.
So it's but you know, we've had people that have brought like a cheeseburger before.
Really?
But you know, it's fun. Or croissants in the shop work as well. But what do you carry in your food? What's your hill choice?
Haribos.
Haribos. All right.
I'm carrying tuna sandwich.
Tuna sandwich.
Yeah. So actual food. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we carry on?
Yeah, let's go.
So this is where clag, sort of low cloud, will be really, really difficult for people.
Definitely easier to get lost in, I can see that.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so this is classic sort of like place where people go off. And then to find the path again is a bit more awkward.
Yeah.
So if you've missed that, sometimes people turn down and just follow the easiest route.
Yeah.
So it's like a terrain trap, it's called.
It is quite misleading because there are a lot of bits that do look like you should be going down there.
Yeah. So sheep live around here, like during the summer, and they will form these little trails, and they will. So some of those times are just sheep tracks.
It's animal trails.
So it's yeah. So it's actually really awkward. And then you just need 10 or so people to walk down there, trample some grass, and then someone else will see that, and then just snowballs. Cool. So we talk about the next sort of like tick point. This would be this. So you've got Pyg Track coming in here, minus Pyg Track coming in here. Thank you. If you look ahead there, you can see the visibility is starting to drop off.
Yeah.
So we've got good viz now still, but at some point it'll get to the point I can't even see you.
Yeah.
That level of difficulty. And that's when you start to probably, before then, hopefully go back.
Yeah.
Or unless you know where you're going. You might have done it before, you want to try a little bit, or you've got a good way of navigating, if you know how to navigate.
Yeah.
Or if you're on a nice path without sort of like complete clag. Complete clag is awkward. So when it's really, really down, unless you have something like OS Maps on your phone, there's an app on there that will tell you exactly where you are. So OS Maps is essentially the whole country is covered by this Ordnance Survey maps, and this is going back to wartime and so on. They put all the trig points on. So they've got an online version nowadays, and so that shows us where we are.
Yeah.
But even though we are on their path, it's very subtle. So basically we're slightly off the path there, but we are on the path here.
Yeah.
So if you want to follow this, you've got to read the ground as well. So if you're on really bad weather, like clag, you've got to balance off between. Don't just follow a map. But if you look at that compared to sort of another type of mapping system, they got better. Give it that much. So that gives you the aerial photo. So it's not too bad. Gives you some sort of indication of where you are. So I use this one for everything. Yeah. And then each of these, so if you look at these maps, they got those little squares. So each of those are 1 kilometer square. And you can, within this, you can get another app called OS Locate. And this will be your compass as well. This is why I carry a battery bank, and you can get a lot of useful things out of a phone. Yeah. People knock the phone a lot of the times, but actually there's a lot of good apps, appropriate apps there. So this one here, this is what you're looking for, your grid reference. So if you're having a bad day and you call the rescue, they'll ask you, where are you? If you're not sure, if you can get something like this on your phone and go, actually, they want a grid reference, so you just give those numbers to the rescue team, and they'll be able to work out where you are. Okay, so that's a good must-have app for
it's a just useful, in case.
I'd say if anyone's going to download anything, OS Maps is the maps to go with, or something called View Ranger, which will give you Harvey maps, a different type of maps. But something with actual mapping would be useful. Yeah. If nothing else, just to pinpoint yourself where you are. If you're really having a bad day and you call it, we'll send you a message, and you click a button, and then it does that grid reference for us, or for you.
Cool.
So if you're thinking about what's going in the back of my head now, is the wind's picked up, clearly. So it's either the wind is picking up, or we've come out of a sheltered spot. Probably a combination of the two, since we've gained height. Yeah. So that's in the back of my head. I know that we got till about 12ish before the full brunt of it comes in. Yeah. I'll probably check in a little bit to see how that's going on, if I get reception. And then the visibility as well. So it's getting worse. It's not terrible yet, because we can still see what's going on. But it's starting to click in my head that actually the weather is changing. Yeah. So I'm starting to evaluate my plans. And this is every time I go in the hills. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey. So we're trying to avoid being in anywhere up high when that storm is rolling in.
Well, it is not sure how bad it's going to be, but if you listen to the forecast, it should be pretty bad. Otherwise, they wouldn't have given a yellow warning. Yeah. If it's a red warning, I probably wouldn't be on the hill now. Amber warning, same again. I'd really question what the risk versus benefit.
What time is it now?
It's well, 20 to 10. So if we started going down at 10.
Yeah.
that would give us, yeah. So if we know it's coming in at 12ish, so we used to say now it's about 20 to 10. We know what's going on. We've just spoke about all that. So I actually think just give it max 20 minutes till 10, and then we'll probably go back. So see how far you get in 20 minutes, and then that gives us. So we started about 8:30, so 9:30, 10, and then gives us time, similar time to get down again. So it should take possibly the same, if not longer, sometimes to go down.
Yeah.
Because if the weather turns, it'll be worse underfoot. So have that in your head that you actually need the same time to go down. The top is only halfway.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, or fortunately. Cool. Let's go see what's going on. So you can see the difference between the miners and this one.
Yes.
There's a bit of a difference underfoot.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this has now become like more scrambly, rambly path. Yeah.
Definitely getting windier.
Nice. So we had what's called the Gabion Walls. We do a zig and a zag, and then you get to what's called both glass, which is sort of like the top of this path. And then you got 15-minute ridge, 15-20-minute ridge, very exposed, like to wind and so on. So I've had to crawl down there sometimes. And a few times we've had lighter team members. We had to literally make sure that they're on the stretcher, just to like holding on stretcher so they don't fly away.
All right.
So it's been very, very windy up there. So for people who are underwear, like 20 miles an hour is like manageable. This is like not much now. But if you're talking 30 miles an hour, you're not standing properly. You really are struggling. 40, 50, you're crawling. So to give people a sort of some sort of metric in their head. I just want to show you one thing, if I can find it. So this is basically what essentially is a bubble wrap, making into a jacket with sleeves. So it fits like they're made by Blizzard, just down the road in Bethesda, and that's you'll open it up and it'll give you like an extra layer. So I would use this for walking wounded, so if someone can actually walk. But you can buy them yourself, and they weigh not much, and that will get a lot of people out of trouble, just being cold. And then something that's useful once you get more familiar with walking in the hills, you get something called like a little bothy bag or a shelter. These are really small. This is the smaller one. But basically that's like a bag that goes over the top of you. So this is for not walking wounded. So if you can't move, you get all your layers on, and then you get in this.
It's like a little tent over you.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So you can get two people in there. Sometimes it's just a bad day, you have your lunch in it as well. So it's also very useful.
I could do one of them.
Yeah. So, but between that will get you out of a lot of trouble between that thing and this thing. For most things. So it depends on how prepared you want to be, but you'll get. With time, if you really get into walking the hills, you'll get used to it, and you'll start to fine-tune what you carry. Yeah, we all carry different stuff, and then warm drink as well. Have something to drink. So this is the important bit: is precipitation is obviously like it kicks up now. So we're expecting 95% chance of rain at 12. So that's a good chance it's going to happen. But it's 90% coverage of the area, so it's not necessarily where we are here. And then this is your wind speeds here. So southerly winds starting to ramp up. Tonight it's going up to about 60, 70, that's high. And then what's useful is if you go to feels like, that takes a combination of the wind temperature, direction, and all the speed and all the rest of it. So if you look here, temperatures are about 8-9 degrees, feels like 3, 2, 1, 0. So by midnight you're expecting the wind chill and all that to come into effect, be about 0 degrees. And then you've got the yellow warning of wind. So if you go on there, you can check what's going on there. So all that's going to be covered in basically a yellow warning. So what's going on in my head now is we know the forecast is what it is. It stayed true. So still, but see the temperature there. So it feels like now -2. So at this point now we know we're still about another half an hour from the top. So if we take another half an hour up and then we've got a couple hours down, the forecast by then will be wet and windy, and then it's only going to take longer to get down, and the forecast is getting worse, progressively worse. So actually taking all that into account, where we are now is a safe place to go down. So that's the logic now for stopping here. And if you look up there now, see how the visibility's come down? So the visibility's come way down. So it's just all that together, it just makes it awkward. So decision making, sound decision making. So but yeah, we had a good day so far, and then turn around and come back another day. So, cool. Most of the accidents happen on the way down.
Yeah. Not sure how much the microphones will pick this part up.
What was that?
Definitely good idea.
Oh yeah. Gives you an idea of what it turns into.
I know.
Right? So this is maybe we're struggling to stand now, and this is probably 20 miles an hour.
20.
25, maybe.
And what was it going to be? 47 or something at the
70 later.
70 later.
No, 70 you're not walking, and you're hardly standing, like in one spot.
Yeah, if you can't hear any of this, that's why. I'm sure some people will ask if we're heading back, why would you not say to people heading up right now? But obviously, like you say, you're not here to police the mountain.
Yeah, we're not.
Just here to help. And
if people ask, I'd happily advise.
yeah,
but also people need to, like, we live in a free world, right? They need to make their own decisions.
yeah, absolutely.
But there's this argument that if we stop people going up, then we'd have less jobs, which is possibly true. But what the National Park are doing now, they have a wagon that they will, of T6 or transporter that they will sit out and talk to people. And there's a lot of this is about engagement and education.
Yeah.
So I've chatted to lots of, to annoyance of people I'm on the hill with. I'll chat to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I won't come in from a point of you shouldn't do this or you should do that or you should do. It's more like, are you aware of this? You know, if it is really bad, I've said to people, it's just bear in mind, like if I see them with little kids, for example, it's like at the top it's freezing and it's proper wet, or it's snowy or something. So I won't say don't go, because people are allowed to make their own decisions. But I just don't want to see like them later.
Yeah.
If I can, but. Oh, nice. The trajectory of the jobs has gone sort of 200, 300, 327. This year is about 400.
Yeah.
So if it keeps going, we're not going to be able to actually cope with it.
Yeah.
So it's not yet, but if you go by the numbers the way we're going, it looks like about 400 by the time we get to the end of the year. And that was a record year last year of 327. Yeah. So all this thing is about it's not about sort of reducing the numbers at this stage. It would be lovely, but at the moment it's just curbing that rise.
Yeah.
Because the rise is exponential now. It's going like.
And there is a limit beyond which you wouldn't be able to make all the rescues.
Pretty much, yeah. It's going to get to a point where we just cannot. And we've been close at times when we actually there's just so many jobs, and they're all serious. So we have people falling off the ridge, people collapsing up there, people stuck in trees down there, and you think all that coordination it becomes really tricky to manage. And at some point, if it carries on like it is, we will not be able to respond. We will get to people, but if you're just a bit tired or a bit hurty ankle rather than falling off the ridge, it might take you 5 hours to get to you, not 2 hours.
All right, so we're back at base. It is starting to rain a little bit, and it got pretty windy out there on the way down as well. I want to give a massive thank you to Jürgen and everyone at Llanberis Mountain Rescue and North Wales Mountain Rescue for helping set this up, sharing all that knowledge with us. If you've got any questions about anything you've seen in the video today, drop them in the comments and we'll do our best to answer for you. If you want to support or get involved with mountain rescue, you can donate to Llanberis Mountain Rescue. Are you looking for volunteers all the time, or?
It's tricky because you need to live in an area.
Yeah, you need to be nearby.
So for us, from people further afield, it's just share and sort of help promote our messaging. Would be the best thing you can do from further afield, and donate. Yeah, that'll be useful.
And of course, for the wider network, you may have your own local mountain rescue depending on where you live. So there's always different ways to help out. And of course, just trying to do as much as you can to get prepared. Better prepared than I was today to head out into the mountains, bring the right stuff. All right, thank you so much for watching the video, and fingers crossed, see you next time.